inverter, my electricity supply had an issue, so I've not been able to. I've been trying to resolve it. I've not been able to fully resolve it even till now. So even today, I just tried to charge a bit, and I'm hoping that hopefully this charge will be able to take us through the whole class. So I was checking, like even right now, I've not been able to check some of the assignments that was submitted, but I was checking. I think I just checked two now, and I found out some error. I won't say error. I found out some things that I think could be corrected based on like what we discussed in class. So I'm going to probably just brush through it, then we can now go from there. So yeah, Mixer. Working this won't take a lot of our time so that we'll be able to enter into what we need to do today. So I'll just go straight into it. I think the core mistake first of is I saw someone use a run generator. And like I said I said while using a random generator, I said that when you use a random generator, like the reason I didn't want to share it is because there is there's another side of it. Because the moment I use this now, anytime I press a key, it will keep regenerating a new number. So the best way to use it is after generating this number, copy your I'm not sharing my screen. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Share screen. Windows. Okay. So I was trying to explain that after using random generator like this, you have random generator, this. Anytime you press any word or do anything on your Excel, the numbers will keep generating randomly. So the best thing to do is to copy it after you've generated it, copy it and then paste as value. So to paste as value, after you've copied all of this, then Control V it. When you Control V, it's going to show you this paste option. Then you select paste as value. The moment you paste as value, you would see that it's only value. You don't have any formula showing here again. So at this point, it has pasted as value. So anytime you press any word, it's going to remain the same. So that is one. Then two, for the discount and VAT. So let's say we have VAT of 5%. I'm inputting it here, 5%. So for this 5%, it's going to be equals to the best thing is to always use a bracket so that the calculation will not be confusing, or you'll be able to actually do a proper calculation instead of writing it directly. What I mean by that is first of find the discount of this, which is this times this. So this I have to make this an absolute I have to make it an absolute reference, then close the bracket, then plus the previous number is E4 plus E4, and then press enter. So with this, I've been able to inside the bracket get what the VAT, what the 5% VAT is, and then be able to add it back to the original amount. So if you do this and then this is if you do this and then probably just move it to the side, you will get the right answer. Then I'm rushing a bit, don't mind me. I'm trying to just cover up so that we'll be able to get into this whatever proper. Then for discounts will be totally different for VAT. For VAT, you are adding to the initial amount. That is, the amount will increase from what it was in the previous amount. But for discount is a minus. That is, you will minus your discount from the initial amount. So it means you will have your initial amount, which is this, then minus, then you open a bracket to calculate the discount, which would be this times the relative, the absolute reference of this. Then you have the answer. So you see that this is less than 26 and this is more than 26. So the 5% increment on this will give us this. The 5% discount on 26 will give us this. I'm hoping that this is now clear now. So today we are going to be going to check out some text functions. We're going to go to check some text function. So I'm trying to see a data I can use for text function. Let me see if I can get a data for text function. Dot sales. Trying to see. I'm trying to see if I can get my phone. Okay, let me generate a data that we can use. Okay, someone is raising Juma. Yes, you can unmute your mic, please. While I'm trying to generate, you can unmute your mic.
Good evening, everybody.
Yeah, good evening.
Okay, please. I have some questions about the assignment. Okay, the first one you've addressed it already because I noticed that after I generated the values, anything I try to
Yes,
adjust,
yes.
yes,
Yeah.
the value will keep changing. That's one. Then the VAT, I had issues with it. I wasn't sure of what I did. I just did anything there, hoping I'm correct. And for the discounts, I did not do anything because when I got to the relative and the absolute, I was totally lost. So I kept watching the video over
Yeah.
and over again. I kept visiting it, but I was lost. And another thing, please, I don't really have um let me say I don't really have basic understanding about Excel. Let me say I'm a beginner. So
Okay.
I would like to plead with you to please when you are trying to do something on the Excel sheet, when you say add this to this, I usually get lost. And you know yeah, I'm using my phone, so the screen is not really bold and it's not too clear. So
Oh,
if you can please be saying what this is and this is, so that I'll jot down and then do my assignment, I'll really appreciate it.
okay.
Thank
I'm sorry about that.
you.
Uh,
Okay.
sometimes the reason I'm trying to most times probably trying to just
Okay.
catch up with what we are doing in class so that
Mm-hmm.
I'll be able to get the actual thing as fast as possible. But I've taken note of that and then I'm going to make sure that I follow through with that. So let me stop. Let me reshare this screen. So I'm going to be talking about text function. So in text function, there are different text
Yeah,
functions.
I'll be unpacking.
Please, can we mute our mic, please? Okay, can you hear me now? Am I am I audible in
Yes, yes,
the
yes, we can.
place? Okay, so in text function, there are different text function. There is concatenate, there is string, there is left and right text function, there is mid, which other one? There is find and search. I'm going to explain that. Then there is what else again? I think these are some of like the basic ones that we are going to be seeing how to make use of them in this class. So let's start first off with Okay, length, there's length. So let me start first off with this data with concatenate now. Let me start with concatenate. Concatenation is adding a text to another text. What do I mean? Say, for example, you have Ade and then you have Olu, and then you want to combine Ade and Olu together in a single sentence, or maybe you want to make it Ade space Olu, or however you want to do it. The way to go about it is concatenation. Concatenation is adding two strings together. Strings are text. So when I'm talking about strings, I'm talking about text. When you are talking about number, you are talking about integer, float, decimal. But when you are talking about text, you are talking about strings. So the process of adding two strings together, that is two texts together, is concatenation. So for example, now we have our first name and our last name. So let's say we want to create a sheet to get the full name. For example, now we want to get the full name, that is, instead of Kevin and Khan, we want it to be Kevin Khan together. So the function to do that is concatenate. So concatenate, then the first test, which is this, comma, this, comma, B2. So if I add this together, it's going to be Kevin Khan. But there's a problem here because this is Kevin Khan. He's not putting a space. So in order to make that work, so I need to explain one more thing. So when you want to write a text in Excel, when you want to collect a text in Excel, you have to collect it within a double quote. Let me explain. If I want to write Ade now as a text, like an actual text, I have to write it in between a quote so that it will be able to detect that whatever I'm writing here is a text and not a number. So the reason I'm explaining this is that for this Kevin Khan now, we introduce a text, a space text. We want to introduce a space text so that we'll be able to have Kevin space Khan. For you to be able to use that space, you need to use a double quote. So let me show that again now. So for this one, we have Kevin Khan, but I want it to be Kevin space Khan. So concatenate, then this, comma. It means the next thing I'm going to be writing. If I do this space and I put comma, okay, so let me just show you. Space, comma, and then this. This is not going to work out. You can still see that I still have Kevin Khan. The reason is because this space I leave down is not a text space. So for me to be able to get a text space, I need to do a quote space quotes. By doing this quote space quotes, what I've done is that I've introduced a space as the third text. I mean, the second text there. So first text, second text, and third text. So if I press enter, you would see that now I have Kevin Khan. So if I double click this down, or if I roll this down, you would see each of these names would pick up because of the formula that I'd already written, the first formula that I'd already written is just going to follow through till the end. Please, do we understand this? Please, if you understand this, I just want you to say okay or yes in the chat box. I want to be sure that we understand what I'm saying, what I just explained here. I want to be sure we understand this. Okay, in the chat. Okay, you understand. If you don't understand, please let me know. Let me know. Let me know if I need to. If I need to explain myself. Okay, good. Okay, good. Okay, it's good that I think we are all on the same page. So there is another way to concatenate a text without using the concatenate function. So the other option is to use this, select this, like select Kelvin, then press and. The and introducing an and is also the same thing as concatenation. So if I press enter, you see Kevin Khan. So it means if I want a space to be there, it will be A2 and space and B2. Then, so 2 ways of concatenating a text. Either use the concatenate function or you use this function, this A2 function. Did we get this, please? I'm hoping that we've gotten that. So the next thing I want to talk about is, let me explain the length because we make use of it. Length is just if you want to find the length of a text. What do I mean? So if I say return the numbers of character of a text, so if I select len Kelvin Khan, it means Kelvin Khan has 10 texts in it. And how is it calculated? It starts from the KEVIN space KHAN. That is 10. That's how it came about, the 10. So it also added the space to it. Calculating Sean, it started with Sean Tran. It started with SHANE space TRAN. That's 10. So this is the length of this text. If there is a place that this will be useful, this is the length of this text. So I will show her something now. So I want to copy this and paste it. I don't. What do you say?
I'm sorry to interrupt. I don't know if it's my network, but it's blurry.
It's
I don't know.
blurry.
Am I the
Oh, you
only
can't.
one experiencing this? The screen
Okay.
is blurry.
Yeah, I'm also experiencing
Exactly.
this.
It's
also,
blurry here
Is,
too.
I'm also
is
experiencing
it
And then
better
this.
now?
Although I just joined.
Is it better now?
I think it's
No,
network.
it's
I
not.
don't know. I think it's network.
No,
Is it better? I want to know if is it better now?
no, it's not.
No, it's not.
Okay, I'm coming. Let me
still
stop sharing now.
blurry my hand.
Ṣebí mo sọ fún ẹ̀gbọ́n yẹn pé
Please let's mute our mic. Oh. Okay, I want to know if it is better now. Is it better now or is it still blurry?
Yeah, it's better now. It's
Yeah,
better
Yeah,
It's
now.
better.
better.
it's better. It's
Okay,
better.
okay. So let me explain the for those that are
Sorry.
coming.
I'm so sorry for cutting you short. Please, I just joined. I've been having issues connecting to the
Okay.
Teams.
Yeah, so
I
that's
don't know.
what
Please, I
I
don't know what we
want
are
to.
doing today.
Yeah, so I'm just going to do a quick recap now. So today we are talking
Thank
about
you.
text functions. Text functions. So these text functions are useful, especially when you need to clean data that has text that are related to that text related. For example, we have this data that has our first name, last name, and email, for example, now. And say, for example, they ask you that they want to join the first name and last name together. In some cases, so it does sometimes why you need this might not be a first name and last name data in actual sense. You might need it in another totally different scenario. Maybe you have strings of text in a particular sheet and you just want to combine it together. Maybe country and state, for example, now, and you need to combine it together. So it's not really like it has to be first name and last name. I'm just using this as an example on how to use this formula. So on that text function, we have concatenate, trim, left, right, mid, find, search, find or search, and then length. So I want to show us how to use them now. So for example, I was saying that we want this first name and last name, we want it as a full name instead of just first name and last name. So in order to do that, you have to concatenate the string together. Concatenation is the adding together of strings. That is string A. When I'm talking about string, I'm talking about text. String A and string B. So that means I want it, instead of being Kelvin Khan, I want it to be Kelvin Khan. That is together. So I said that to concatenate text, there is a concatenate function, which is this, concatenate text1, A2, comma, B2. And then you press enter. And then if I do this down, it's going to follow the same route, Kevin Khan, Shen Tran, and all of this. But the problem I have now here is that There is no space in between. It is writing it together. So in order to correct that, I said that in writing a text in Excel, you have to write it in between a quote, a double quote. That is, for example, I want to introduce a space. That is, I want it to be Kelvin space can. So in order to do that, it means I have to write my text as quote space quote like this. This would give me a space in between. So I'll show you what I mean here. So by this, instead of A2, B2, it's going to be A2, comma, space, then comma, B2. So I will have Kelvin can. So if I do this across board, you would see that it has introduced the space in between all of it. So concatenate. Then I also mentioned that another way of doing it is hardcoring it, that is using the and option, that is right, Kelvin and. So because I need to put space, and B2, this is also another concatenate function. It does the same thing. So yep, I have this written as this. So you can concatenate it by using either of those two. Then the next thing that I was talking about is length of text. That is, I want to find the length, the total number of text that we have here. So I'm just going to do length from length of Kelvin can. This is written as 10. And I was explaining how it got 10 because probably if you are reading Kelvin can, you see that probably is 9. That why do I have 10? The reason it's 10 is because of the space in between. So it is counting the space in between. That is KEVIN space KHAN. That was how it's that's how we're able to get 10. So that's how to get the length of text. There will be a way, there will be a place where we'll use it. So I want to copy this and paste this because I want to explain this. I want to paste this as value. I want to paste it as value. The reason for pasting a particular text as value is that it will remove the formula function around it. So I want to use this to explain something now. I want to use this to explain something. So you know this is 10 now, for example. So I want to show us an example. If I introduce a space at this back, it will alter it from it being 10. So I was saying that if I introduce a space from this back, it will alter it from it being 10 to being 11. As you can see, this Kelvin can is no longer 10 again. It is now 11. And the reason it is now 11 is because I've introduced a space at the back. If I had another space at the front, it is also going to count it. So now this is now 12 instead of the actual 10 that it was like earlier on. The best way to clean this, maybe you have a particular sheet that has all of this text. So if you have a text sheet, for example, the first thing you want to make sure is that there is no white space. They call these spaces, they call them white space. That is spaces preceding the actual text and spaces after the actual text. Like for example, if I add more space now, this is 16. Meanwhile, the actual text is actually 10. So the function to clear off this is to use the trim function. So what the trim function does is that it removes every white space before and after. So if I say trim Kelvin can, for example, and I press enter, you see that I have Kelvin can. How will I know that that's the actual length? So if I press length of this now, you'll see that this will be 10. So it is back to 10. So that is what the trim function does. So the trim function trims out every white space that I have. I'm not able to collate text that has white space enough. I would have probably been able to like show it in every other one. So let me do it probably here too. Let me put more white space so that this is now 20. To trim this, you just write equals to trim this, and then if you check the length, you'll see that the length has retained the actual text, the actual length that is supposed to be. So that is how trim function, that is how it works. So a lot of time when you are done trimming, you can just copy again and then copy and paste as value. so that it will delete, it will clear off the formula if there's a need for that. Please, did we get it? Did we understand? I just want us to press O, yes, if we understand. Concatenate, length, and trim, please. Before I go ahead, I want to know if we understand concatenate, length, and trim. Just press yes if you understand. If you're having issues, let me know. Okay. Okay, can we go over the trim again? Any other person that is having issues understanding either of them? You don't understand the length and trim. Okay. Okay. So let me just go over the length again. Let me go over the length again. So as I was explaining the other time, I said that we use the length to know. Let me delete this. We use the length to know. We use the length function to know the length of the text. Like for example, let me select Kelvin now. Length of A2. So the length of Kelvin is 5. And how did we get that? Kevin, 5. So if I do this across board, you see different lengths. Sean is 5, John is 4, Jennifer is 8, Lisa is 4, and all of that. That's how we're able to get the length of all of this. If I now come here and I select length of Kelvin Khan here now, for example, and I press enter, it is going to read out the length of Kelvin and Khan together and also the space. So it's going to be Kevin space Khan. And if there is a white space in between, it is also going to count it. For example, this Kelvin Khan has a white space in between. So if I press length of this Kelvin Khan and I press enter, this is 16. Meanwhile, it's supposed to be 10, but this is 16. And the reason it is 16 is because of the white spaces, which is space before and space after. So it is counting all of this space, and that's how we're able to come across 16. That's how we're able to get 16. So in order to be able to clear off those white spaces, what we will have to do, white spaces are spaces before before the initial text and after the last text. For example, okay, so before the initial text and after the after text, let me try to introduce. I want to introduce in between. I want to see if it is. You can see now that we have 17. So I want to see if trim. So what trim function does is that trim function clears off. Let me write trim again. Trim. You can see remove all spaces from a text string, except for single space. So anytime there is more than a single space in between, especially in between a word. For example, now I've added space. So the space we have here is now 2 now instead of it being 1. So because the space we have there is more than 1, the trim function will also clear it off. So what trim function does is that it trims off every white space that we have in a text. For example, now this Kevin Khan, it is now not normal. That is, we have the normal Kevin Khan. And how do we know that? When we press the length of this now, this new one that we've trimmed, what we have is 10. Compared to here that we have 17. The 10 which it is supposed to be. So what has happened with the trim function is that it has cleared off what we had before, which is the previous white space we had earlier. I'm sorry, the previous white space we had before and after, and also the ones we have in between. So that is what trim function does. It clears up every white space you had before the text, after the text, and also for every more than single space that you have in between words. It is going to trim it out, and turn it back to normal. But it won't trim it out if we have something like this. Let's say we have Kelvin space in. It is not going to trim it out. The reason it's not going to trim it out is because, as you can see, it will think that you are writing Kev in can. So the only way it will clear up is if this is double, for example. Now it will clear up and write it as Kelvin can, like normal Kelvin, like normal Kelvin can. So it only clears up double spaces in between words, and then every words that we have before and after. Do we understand this explanation, please? Okay. Mr. Emmanuel, you can unmute your mic, sir. Yeah, you can unmute your mic. You can ask your question.
All right, good evening. Please, I'm trying to walk that length, and I'm doing exactly what you were doing, but it's giving me error. Or do I
on
need
your
to copy and paste it again?
on your laptop?
Yes. I'm just trying to do it. I've worked on
So it's going
the.
to be equals to LEN, then the text,
Okay,
like the
LEN. Oh, okay. I'm
LEN. It's
writing
not
the.
length. So you were writing
Oh,
length.
okay.
No,
Oh,
it's
yes.
LEN.
Okay.
Length function
Okay.
is LEN. Yeah.
Okay. Let me
Okay.
just. Thank you. Let me just
Yeah.
replace it.
Any other person? Any other person? Any other person? Okay. I am thinking that we are good. So another thing I think I need to also explain is proper, I mean, uppercase, lowercase. For example, now, say you have all of this in uppercase. So I'm coming. Let me just convert this to uppercase. Say you have all of this in uppercase now, for example, like as an initial text, and you want to change it to a proper text or maybe small letter, for example, now. So let's say this is what we have. Let me copy this and paste it here as a full name. Starts values only. Okay. Delete. Delete. Okay, so we have this and everything is in uppercase. Like this is the first thing we have, and we are told to change it to lowercase or change it to proper text. So to change all of this to lowercase, there's a lower function. It converts all the text to lowercase. You see everything Kelvin can. If we want to convert it to a proper text, there's a proper. So this proper converts to proper text. That is, first letter of each word is capitalized. So yeah, Kelvin can, as you can see across board. So let's say this small letter, I want to change it proper, and then this. And then if I need to convert it to capital letter now, for example, so upper. So yeah. So for conversion to small letter, lowercase, and so the functions are lower, upper, and proper. So these are the three functions for converting lowercase, uppercase, proper case. Did we get it up to this level?
Yes.
Okay, good. So so the next thing we want to move to now is let me copy this. So the next level we want to move to now is delete all of this. So in a case where we have our full name, but they want us to break the full name to first name and last name, like we had here. Say, for example, you have a full name, but they want the first name. So this is how you get the first name. So our first name, for example, Kelvin is at the left. So this is how you get it. There's a left function. What this left function does is that it returns a specific number of texts counting from the left. So I want the left of this function, that is this text. How many number of characters? If I say 3 characters now, for example, it is going to return 3 character, 3 first character from this. That is, for example, if I do this, you'll see each and every one of it, 3 characters. If I increase this to 5 now, for example, you get the actual one for Kelvin. Kelvin is 5. So it returns Kelvin. But here is the problem. There are some texts that are less than 5, and there are some that are more than 5. So how do we go about this to be able to get Kelvin or Shane, each one of these? How do we go about it to get the first name of each one across board with a single formula? So this is how we'll go about this, and we'll be using the find function. What the find function does is that it finds a particular text. It finds the position of a particular text. For example, find and search are the same thing. They have the same function. So for example, find text. So I want it to find K, for example. I want it to find K because it's a text. I will have to write K in this. So if I tell it to find K in this, of course, K is in position 1. You can see K is in position 1. If I do this across board, all these ones, they don't have K in it. This one has K. Where the K position is at the 6th position. K is in position 1. All these ones with value, they don't have K. I will also teach us how to deal with this, where say for example, now this does not have a key. Instead of having this, it should have returned a particular error number or something. I will get to that, but not now. So I'm just trying to show us what the find function does. Find and search, they are the same thing. So what they do is that they find the position of a particular text that we are looking for, and then they return it. But in this case now, the common thing, can anyone probably hint me what the common text that we have across this full name is? What do you think the common text is? Does anyone have an idea of what the common text is? You can just type it.
It's E
No,
or
it's
space.
not. Okay, yes, space. Yes, you are right. So the common thing, there can be E in maybe 5, and we don't have E in the other ones. But what we have across board is space. We have Kelvin space can, we have Shane space tran. So we are going to be utilizing that space to break up the words. So first thing we want to, okay, so what is the position of space? So that is find space. This is how to find, this is space. That is quote space quote. Find space within Kelvin can. Press enter. Quote is at the 6th position. Quote is at the 6th, is at the 5th year, is at the 9th year, is at the 5th year, like that, like that. So this is what we'll be using to get our text. So we are going to be combining it together. So we are going to use left, that is the left of this text. Number of character, I want it to be, number of character is I want it to be 6. For example, if I select this now, number of character this, and I press enter, this is going to return 6 characters. But the problem is it is also returning it with the space. So I want it to be this. I want it to be this -1. -1. So the reason for minusing 1 from it is that we'll be able to have the actual length. Let me say the reason for that now. If I leave it the previous way it is, and I try to do length of this Kelvin now, it is going to be 6 instead of it being, this is F2. It's going to be 6. So, equals to length. It's going to be 6 instead of it being 5. And the reason is because it counted the space with it. So instead of that, I'm just going to say -1, that is remove the space, and then we have 5. I know we did not get this, so I'm just going to call it. The way I did this now, I just did left the text and then this position. But right now, I'm going to remove this this one, and then we are going to do it like I'm sorry, I'm not explaining very well. I'm coming. So let me just explain how it should be. So it's going to be left the text, this text, the number of character. Now for the number of character, the code we'll be using is, we are going to tell it to find, that is, we are going to incorporate another function inside our left function. So the number of character we want it to get is find space in Kelvin Can, that is in D2, and then yep, we're going to close this. Then we can now do -1. Yep. Let me explain again. Left function, this is how it works. For left function, you have to type the text you want and then the number of character you want to pull from the left. In this case, the number of character we want to pull from the left is not uniform to all, but the uniform thing to all is the space. So what we will do is that we will tell it to find the space and then remove that space and then count based on the length of each of them before the space. I don't know if you get this explanation. So it means left D2, then find space in D2, find space in D2, then -1. The reason for the -1 is so that it will remove, because when it finds this space, what I'm telling it is that from this D2, the number of character I want is that the number of character of where the position of space is. That means the number of character is going to return is going to be KEVIN and the space, which is 6. But what I want is that I don't want it to return the space together with it. So I am removing that space. That is the -1. So if I press enter, Kelvin, and then across board, it's going to return each and every one of these. I'm not sure if we got this. Did we get this? Before we say we did not get it, so I'm just going to use another example too. Now, I'm going to use another example right now.
I think we need to work on it like individually.
Yes. I'm going
Let's
to,
work
I
on
want to
it
do,
individually first before we.
yeah, I want to do another
All right.
example before we move to working on it individually. So now, for example, now, this Kelvin Can at email.com. So I just want to show us that it does not enter at space. So for example, we want to pull out Kelvin.can. We want to pull out Kelvin.can. Or for example, from this email, we want to pull out Kelvin. So we want to pull out Kelvin, Shane, John. If we look at everything, we have common denominator. The common denominator is the dots. But first of, let's pull out before the at. So we want to pull out Kelvin Can. Everyone has, each of it has an at because it's an email. So it has an at. So to pull that, we are going to say left this text, then find character. So in this case, the character we are going to be finding would be finding at. So at, I said the other time that for every text you want to write, you have to put it in a double quote. So find at, then where are you going to find the at? You are going to find the at in C2, within C2. Find at, what is the C2 not press? Yes, C2. Find at in C2. Then if I press enter, it is going to incorporate it together with the hat. So if I press enter, you'll see that it will incorporate it with the hat. You can see Kelvin.can then at. So that's the reason for putting the -1, So it means you close this bracket, then -1. The reason for that -1 is to remove the at that is included together with it. So now we have Kelvin can. And then if we do it across board, like down, you will see it will remove the at and then return the actual name, the name before. So let's do for the first name only, because the common factor there is the dot. So left, and then this text, and then find. So in this case now, what we'll be finding will be dots. So dots, find dots under Kelvin here, and then close it, -1. So we have Kelvin. So if I do this, you see Shane, you see John, Jennifer, Lisa, Veronica, Michael, and the likes. So did we get it up to this level? Did you get it up to this level? Am I waiting a response? Am I waiting a response? Did you get this?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I will want us to try this out, because the other level we want to go to might be a little bit tricky. Or let me just explain the right function too. Then we'll continue from there, because like I said the other time, I've been battling with electricity issues. So I was just able to charge just for this class, and my battery is almost getting low. So let me explain the other one, which is the right function. Then I will leave it for us to do it personally, and then continue from there in the next class. So for the right function, now the left function, we've used the left function, and with the left function, we're able to get the first name. For the last name, it is totally different. Like the way we are going to get the last name is totally different. So for the last name, we are going to use right. In right, is someone raising their hands? Okay, okay. In right also works like left. That is, how many number of character do I have from the right? So call out this number. So if I say right 5, this is going to call out 5 from the back. That is going to count N-A-K-A. I mean N-A-H-K. It is not going to be counting from K-H-A-N. No, it is going to be counting from the back. That is N-A-H-K, which is 5. N-A-H-K. I think it added the space to it. So that's how we have a 5. Yes, it has a space. Yes, it has a space. Yes. So if you check the other ones now, you can see Tran from the back, space. I think someone's mic is now muted. Okay, you can see this. All of these are 5 from the back. You can see that it is not uniform. It is not getting the actual left, I mean, the actual number that we want. So just like the other time too, we use the space as the common factor. We are going to be using the space as a common factor here too, but it is going to be in a totally different scenario. So for this, the calculation is totally different. So the way we want to count it is that we want to count right, but let me just do it first. So what we are going to do is right, then length, the total length of the text, minus where we have space. I'm going to explain this. Just let me find space in this text. Yep. So I'm going to explain this. It's tricky, but I'm going to explain this. So this is how we get this. We have this full name, Kelvin Khan, right? The total length of this text the other time is 10, right? It is 10. The total length is 10. Then the position of the space, it is 6. So if we subtract the total length from the space, what we will have left would be the number without the space. What I mean is that, we have 4 rather. Yes, we have 4. From this Kelvin can now, total length of Kelvin is 10. Total length of the position where we have the space is at the position 6. I'm just guessing. Is at the position 6. So if we subtract this from this, we'll be left with 4. So it means from the right, count 4. That is, count where the space counts before we get to the space position. And that is what we did here. So that is, let me rewrite it, equals to the right function, this text, the number of character I want, the number of this total after the comma is number of character. So I can decide to write whatever function I want in between here. So, but for this number of character, I want it to first look for the length of this text, and then subtract the length of this text, the total length, subtract it from the position where I have the space. That is, now find space. Okay. Now find space, and then within this text. So what it does is that this text, then all of this is the number of character. The number of character is just simply total number of text, which is 10, minus position where I have space, which is 6. So that is 10 minus 6, which will give us 4, which we'll now be able to use to get the right text. Press enter. So if you do it downwards, for example, this more now, in this more, it will find the total length and then subtract it from where we have space, and then it will now count the remaining text. That is how we're able to come about this. So let me just quickly do for where we have at. For example, now, I only want it to return example.com. So I want to leave all this kelvin.can, then at. I want it to return example.com, for example. So it's going to be equals to write function, write of this text, comma, length, the total length of this text, minus find at in this text, then return everything. So you can see the result I will have here across board will be example.com. So what it simply does is that write function, this text, comma, the total length, then subtract, look for at, which is like the common factor that we have there, and then we have this result. I'm hoping we're able to get this. I'm going to explain. If we don't get this, I'm going to re-explain this in our next class, but I'm just trying to rush up because of my battery, and so that I would want us to go through it ourselves. So after this class, I think Adenika would upload the recording. So if you don't get the right and left function, you can rewatch it again and understand it, then try to repractice it again. It is very, very simple. The logic is very, very simple. For the left function, we want to count from the left. We want to remove text from the left, which is, we just want to remove our first name. And in order to do that, left function is just the function, then comma, the number of character we want to remove. But because we have a lot of text, we would look for a common factor among them, which is the space. Then we want to find that space and then count the number of text from that space. And then I use -1 so that it's going to remove that space. But for the right function, what I did was right function, that is count from the right, then count this particular text from the right, but look at the total length of the whole name, then remove the space that we had, or the hearts in this case, then remove it from where we have the hearts, then count the remaining text. And that's how I was able to come across the last name. So I want us to just rewatch this or retry this at our own end and see, maybe before you rewatch it, try to see if you can do this, like just by what you've seen in this class. Try to see if you can redo this. Then if you don't get it, you watch the video and try to see if you can grasp it. Then in our next class on Sunday, I think, I'm not sure we'll be able to have class on Sunday. I don't know yet. I'll check up with Adenika because Sunday is Easter Sunday. I don't know how that will work yet. But in our next class, I will try to explain this much more better. I'm hoping that my light would have been restored by, I'm expecting to get restored by Tuesday, Wednesday, thereabout. So by our next class, I'm hoping that I would have my light restored and then we'll be able to do this much more properly. So if you have any question, you can just reach me my DM if you are not able to get this. But before you ask the question, try to rewatch this and try to use all of these text function that we've gone through, the concatenate, the trim, the left, and all of that. In order to use this, if you are trying to generate a data, you can just go to ChatGPT and tell it to generate. You can just tell it to generate a CSV file or a CSV file. Just tell it to generate a dirty text CSV file, maybe first name or something. Just give it an instruction so that it's going to generate something for you that you can work with, or you can generate it yourself too, as the case may be. So yeah, so thank you all for joining today's class. I'm sorry that I'm rushing or we're not able to use our expected 2 hours. The reason is because one, I want us to grasp it bit by bit, and also because of the electricity restraints that I'm facing. That's why I've just limited this class to just 1 hour. Hopefully by our next class, we'll be able to function fully. So thank you everyone for joining today's class. Have a wonderful night. Good night.
All right, everyone. How was today's session? How was it? Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. So how was today's class?
It was okay. So this session was fine.
Okay.
Just needs
I
us
believe
to
we'll go back
just,
practice. Yes.
yeah,
So,
for me,
like
so
you
this
said,
session
you
was
can.
okay. Just needs us to work more on ourselves.
Yeah. So you can always go back and you can follow the instruction he gave by going to ChatGPT